Imagine this, a woman, 25 years of age. The year is 2002. She shows up on her family doorstep with her 2 young children. The family noticed that this woman had bruises along her neck, a black eye. The kids seem terrified. The family talks to her. They know what the routine is. They tell her to leave her boyfriend. The woman doesn't listen. Instead, she makes up excuses. She tell herself, she tell her family that it's her fault. He didn't mean it. She should know when to leave him alone. She talks too much. Against the pleas of her family, she goes back to this man. Only 2 weeks later, she finds herself in the hospital. Broken arm. Bruises around the neck, around the ribs. This woman, I know her all too well. She's my little sister. Domestic violence can happen to anyone, people. My name is Daniel Singleton, and I'm going to be talking to y'all about domestic violence. I will be speaking on some of the effects that it has. Some stats of domestic violence. Some of the warning signs of domestic violence, and a couple of examples of domestic violence. The Domestic Violence Resource Center reports that over 25% of American women at some point in time in their life have experienced physical abuse or some type of domestic violence. In year 2011, over 960,000 cases was reported of domestic violence. Over 3 million girls were the victims of domestic violence last year. The Domestic Violence Statistic.org website shows that every 9 seconds in America, some female is being a victim of domestic violence or some type of abuse. 1 out of every 5 teenage girls said that their boyfriend either verbally threatened them or threatened to cause harm to herself if she attempted to leave that relationship. 10 million children in the U.S. last year fell witness to some type of domestic violence. 8 million workdays was lost due to domestic violence. $4.1 billion was paid in medical expenses due to domestic violence. Let's go over some of the signs of domestic violence. You got physical signs: bruises, lacerations. We have missing work days due to injuries or being ashamed. And we got isolation, alienating yourself from your friends, your family, your loved ones, because that abuser is controlling you, not only physically, but mentally. Some of the effects of domestic violence. Imitation. Your children, they imitate you, they imitate their adults. If your children see their fathers beating up on your mothers, those young men will probably end up doing the same thing. Those young girls will probably fall victim to attracting a man that beat on them because that's what they see. They think that's how to be loved. Domestic violence affects everyone. The end result of domestic violence in most cases, sad to say, is death. Behind me, I have 2 pictures. One is a young man screaming at his girlfriend. That is a form of domestic violence. I have a house with a knife going through it. The house is bleeding. That knife to me represents domestic violence. That house represents the family. That knife is destroying the family. That is what domestic violence does. It destroys the family. In Washington, D.C. last year, there was over 656 domestic violence felony cases. New York, the year is 2007. A woman, Sandra, 42 years old, she comes home. She asks her husband, what do he want for lunch? He starts to verbally and physically abuse her. He makes the 13-year-old son pick up video camera and record him as he assaults his mother. Milwaukee, 2002, Shannon Dorsey, 43-year-old woman, was choked with her own belt by her 46-year-old boyfriend. These are just a few examples that happen far too often on an everyday basis. Sad to say. Sorry to say, most of the domestic violence cases end up in hospitalization or death. Children will see their mothers beaten. Coroners will get all types of business due to all these death-related and domestic violence. I'd like to end on a quote. This quote written by Diana Feinstein. And she says, domestic violence causes far more pain than visible marks or bruises or scars. Thank you. My name has been Donald Thomas Singleton, and this concludes my discussion about domestic violence. Thank you.